So now I'd like to start the session. Sorry. This session is called Food Security with Low Carbon Rice in Asia. We will focus on government pilot project, but also other efforts on this, how to produce low carbon rice. There are many ways to do this, produce rice with low carbon. As many of you know, that methane emission, huge amount of methane is emitted from rice field, rice paddy field under the water. One way of reducing the methane emission from paddy field is called alternate wetting and drying water management, AWD. And many of the presentations today will mention about AWD. The method of AWD is not a new one. It has been developed by the scientists at the International Rice Research Institute and elsewhere, and has been tested in many places, promoted. However, the adoption of AWD has been, at the low level, and we want to scale it up. And we will discuss more on how to scale it up to reduce the methane emission from the rice field, as well as reducing the water use on rice field. On this session, we are very fortunate to have many experts from government, research institutes, and private sectors. On the screen, you can see all the panelists and presenters. I will call on one by one. So first, we have an overview presentation. Mr. Jong-Suk Shin is a regional representative of Asia at the International Rice Research Institute. He has been very busy this morning, attending many sessions and presenting, but he has another one. So Jong-Suk, please come on stage. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Yes, this is the third session for today, and then I think that this is really the interesting and a very hot topic in Asia. So as a Asia director for IRI, so I'm very proud to present this topic at the ADB forum. So food security with low carbon rice in Asia. So that is the title of my presentation. Let me start with just general number of the rice. So many people already saw this kind of slide. So one thing that I really want to mention is the 4 billion people, 56% of this world, people in this world are eating rice almost every day. And as Takashi said, it's water use. Is also under this climate change situation, the water use is one of the hot topic. And then fortunately or unfortunately, so rice production is using 35% of irrigation water. That means a lot. So using a lot means there is a potential to reduce the use of the water. So let me tell you about what sector in the agriculture producing greenhouse gas more. So if you see the graph, you see the livestock and croplands and the rice cultivation. So if you see just at one glance, you see, oh, rice production is not that much. But this is a kind of total, but we can see the potential. Even though you have this amount of things, but you can't reduce substantially, that means there is a very low level of the potential for mitigation. So this is the potential. So if you see the right side graph, rice cultivation has a huge amount of potential for the mitigation, so reduction of the greenhouse gas. So 36% of the greenhouse gas we can reduce with our effort, compared to only the 9% and 3% and the livestock for 9%, and cropland for 3%. So that means rice is one of the crop producing lots of the greenhouse gas, and this at the same time, this is the target for the mitigation, and then that's why we try to focusing on low carbon rice production. So if you see the map of the world, you can see the blue, green, yellow, and red. Red means serious kind of situation to produce lots of the greenhouse gas. And if you see the Vietnam, there is a certain part of Vietnam is the rice production area. That is the color is very red. That means it's high potential for the mitigation. So I'm telling you the mitigation potential. So if you see the 1 hectare of the rice, and it's a 12.7 point of the carbon dioxide is emitted. So that's why if you compare the average US household, the one household emits 8.5 tons of the carbon dioxide per year. So this is kind of things, that's why there's a 12.7 tons per hectare is the current situation of the rice production. But if you apply the AWD, alternative wetting and dry technology, and lots of the new developed technology, so we can reduce 65% of emission for the rice production. This is really big potential for the reduction of the greenhouse gas in the rice production. So that's why now I am telling you a little bit in detail about the low carbon rice production. So if you see those stage of the rice production from the seed to the harvest, you can see so of course, rice plant needs water, but not every day. So we can control the water level wisely. That means we can reduce the greenhouse gas emission. Because once you have the water in the rice field, all the microorganisms can start to breathe. So anaerobic, that means it creates the methane. So once you don't have the water in the field, and then you can reduce it. That's why the alternative wet and dry is very simple. Wet, some days wet, some days dry, some days wet, and some days dry. So if plant needs really water, we give the water, the very low level. And then once they don't need the water, we can take it out to reduce the methane emission. So that is the very simple technology, but the scale of this technology is quite big. Because the very simple technology, you just have the one cylinder in the field, you can see 15 centimeters of the water or not, you can just manually check. But now, you can see the remote sensing and all kinds of digital technology. That's why you just control all the automatic irrigation, and then application and the AI can just control those kind of the optimum the water level to reduce the greenhouse emission. So that's why the application level is from the appropriate technology to the very high. It's artificial intelligence application. So that's why even though AWD looks like the very simple technology, but how to make it is a various method. So why we are focusing on the AWD? Because water conservation. As I told you before, so rice production use a lot of irrigation water. So that's why because of climate change, all the kinds of things, and now water is the very valuable thing. So we have to conserve the water for the crop production and the agricultural activities. And this, as I told you before, application can be vary from the appropriate technology, simple technology, to the very high level, it's a digital technology. That's why it will be very wide adoption, the technology. And the reason why the farmers, they don't like this technology before, because they do not have the proper information of the economic gain. Because without the economic gain for the farmers, they don't want to apply new technology. So money should be in their pocket. Once they see the financial benefit, economical benefit, definitely they will just do it. Otherwise, this world environmental issue, and please do it. That is not really strong justification. So economic gain is the key part for the large scaling up. But still, so we need more that's why we need more the training, capacity development. Is kind of the inception under this technology. So that's why the more engagement with the farmers, more engagement with the country level, the extension officers and the policymakers, that is really key to scale up this technology. So this is the general thing. So how we can, and how much, when we can reduce the greenhouse gas emission. It's a timing of the residue, and then 10%, and the planting stage we can reduce 7%, and the AWD 33 to 36%, and then there is a rice straw, the management things, because some country they burn the rice straw after harvest. That creates a lot of the emission and the human health issue. That's why as a total, so 65% emission, greenhouse gas emission can be reduced with our effort, with the new technology. So this is the case study in Vietnam. So now I'm based in Vietnam. So if you see the left side, there is a sector. Which sector is the kind of the emission, the center? So the energy sector, and then the agriculture and forestry and waste. And so there are many sectors, but if you see the middle, the big bar, that is agriculture. That means definitely which industry is the target for the greenhouse gas emission reduction, that is agriculture. And then agriculture is a broad concept. And then what kind of the greenhouse gas we can reduce? What is the problem? The second graph is the carbon, is a carbon dioxide, and if you see the methane and the nitrogen. So which one is better? Is the carbon is the key. Methane is the key. And if you see the last one, and which crop is the target in Vietnam to reduce the greenhouse gas emission? Definitely rice. So with the graphs, target should be agriculture, and what kind of greenhouse gas is methane, and which crop? Rice. That is why last year, Vietnamese government launched 1 million hectare project. 1 million hectare rice, the low carbon and quality, high quality rice production. So that is really, it's a great initiative from the government in Asia. 1 million hectare of the rice production, Vietnamese government wants to transform from the conventional way to low carbon and high quality rice production. So one single government has a very good standard and target, and then all the government people just rush and work together and then make it happen. So this is really one of the good example in Asia. So this is the massive and the very targeted, focused approach supported by government or guided by government. So that's why I'm sure today, so we have the representative Vietnamese government, MART, and then they give us the more in detail information. But this is quite the 1 million hectare project is one of the great example for the low carbon and high quality rice production. So this is it's a very complicated, but simple, the explanation is like this. Greenhouse gas, low carbon rice production is not based on the one single technology. From the variety, very simple approaches, there is a 90 days variety, 120 days variety. If you select the 90 days, So if you harvest 30 days before, that means definitely you can reduce the greenhouse emission. That's why how you can select the variety. So from the variety, we need to start. And then what kind of the agronomy, so AWD and all kinds of things, and post-harvest and the rice straw management. And those things are substantially, we can reduce the emission of the greenhouse gas. So that's why from the seed to the consumer consumption and the national policy linked to the global initiative, and that is the picture of the low carbon rice production, especially in Asia, because 90% of rice is producing in Asia now. And one more thing is, rice production in Africa is going up, but we need to think of, in like the Vietnam 1 million hectare project, we reduced the emission of the rice production, the greenhouse emission. At the same time, the rice production in Africa is going up, but they produce more. That means it's a zero-sum game. That's why once we have the South-South collaboration for the low carbon, we have to give them the right technology and the right cooperation. Otherwise, this part of the world reduce, other part of the world is increase. So that should be the emission. Okay, that's all for the overview of the low carbon rice production in Asia. Thank you.
We have limited time, but so we'll have a Q&A session at the end. But do you have any burning question at this moment to Dr. Johnson? Yeah, Win.
Thank you. It's good to see you again, Yoshu.
Hi.
Win Ellis from the Sustainable Rice Platform. Quick question, can you give us any estimate as to what proportion of Vietnam's rice area currently uses AWD?
So actually I don't know the exact number, but the AWD is not really so popular at this moment in Vietnam. That's why during the 1 million hectare project, and the AW is the part of the activities. So to adapt to the things, I think that we have the MAD officials here, and then he can bring the exact number for us. Yeah, thank you.
Yes. Please come. Please go to the mic.
Thank you. Very quick question. You said like the quality and the productivity increases for this particular technology. What would be the percentage of increase of like productivity?
Actually,
how many?
Actually, it's not really our objective is in terms of quantity. So because we are reducing the water use, and we are trying to manage those many things. That's why our target, the initial target, is not to sacrifice our yield. So the low carbon rice production without yielding decrease. So that is the first target. And then in terms of quality, so once you just use the water efficiently at the harvest stage, and you can have more formed seed, and then you can have the better grain quality. So that is the kind of we can just have some better quality. But we don't have those kind of target to increase the production quantity using the AWD and the low carbon rice production. Yeah.
I think we can discuss more on that. Okay, so the last one. Yeah, please.
Thank you. In the experience of field rice so far, there's probably in the data of the National Irrigation Administration, about 10% are adopting the AWD. And of course, the initiative on the carbon credit is being explored right now. But my comment will be on around the nitrous oxide, which I think is also in many countries, also in ASEAN, is very important in the dry land. And I think in the experience even of Erie, if you base it on the Green Revolution, the irrigated area became revolutionized, but the rain-fed was slightly left. And I think in this exciting development on carbon credit, that is also appearing to be the case, that the standards for methane emission is well established, even on maybe how much it will cost. But when you look at it on the nitrous oxide or on the dry land kind of greenhouse gas, there's not much activity happening, no, and then maybe the standards are not well established. So to my mind, this might be an area where maybe we can step up some more, so that the balance, as you're saying, where it's happening, maybe in the irrigated areas, but in the rain-fed, maybe it's not happening, so you again end up in a zero-sum game. It should not be. Thank you.
Thank you. It's good comment. Yeah, and for the nitrogen, and there is another technology is kind of site-specific nutritional management technology that is linked to the nitrogen. So, but so today's so focusing on the greenhouse gas emission is a methane. So that's why I didn't include it. But there is a nutritional, site-specific nutritional management can decrease the nitrogen in the rice field as well. Thank you. Good comment. Thank you, John.
Okay. Okay. So next, I'd like to invite Dr. Salam. He is a member director of crop divisions of Bangladesh Agriculture Research Council. Dr. Salam, please. Okay, please put Dr. Salam's presentation on screen.
Please show the presentation on screen. Okay, thank you. Welcome all of you to my presentation. Oh. Sorry. Is it forward? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Rice production and greenhouse gas emissions. Actually, just earlier speaker showed the statistics. 4 billion people's staple food is rice, which is more than half of the global population's diet. According to FAO, Asia contributes about 90% of the world rice production, and Asia contributes the largest emission from agriculture worldwide. In 2021, about 3.97 billion metric ton of carbon dioxide equivalent were produced from agricultural land. According to IPCC 6 report, the rice cultivation accounts for about 12% of the anthropogenic methane emission. As per Global Food Outlook report, China is the topmost rice producing country. Then then India is the second largest rice producing country, and next, third global rice producing country is Bangladesh. If I here share with you the physiographic features of Bangladesh agriculture, you know Bangladesh is a deltaic country where alluvial plainland covers 78%, terrace covered 8%, hill covered 12%. Our climatic condition is subtropical humid. There are 2 seasons dominant. One, summer, average temperature 25 to 30 degrees Celsius, and in winter 15 to 20 degrees Celsius. Annual rainfall is 2,200 millimeter. Bangladesh agriculture is actually intensive agriculture. Crops are intense in floodplains. Crops contribution to GDP is 7.25%. Arable land 8.59 million hectare. Forest land 1.44 million hectare. We have diverse and distinct 30 agroecological zones, and cropping intensity is about 198%. We have more than 50% rice-based cropping system, and our total farm household is about 16.6 million, and total population is about 170 million, and population density is 1153 per square kilometer. We are the 7th globally densely populated country. Here you see the area and production of rice in Bangladesh. During the 1970, the area under Boro was 0.24 million hectare, and it is in 2023 4.8 million hectare. Over the 54 years, it increased 19.5 times, and average annual growth rate of 35.7%. We grown rice in a year 3 seasons. One is Boro, completely irrigated rice, then Amon, rain-fed rice, and then Aus, partially rain-fed irrigated rice. And in case of Amon, in 1970, the area was 0.01 million hectare, and in 2023, it was 5.60 million hectare. Over the time, it is 560 times during the same period. And in case of Aus, from 1970 to 2023, it's increased 580 times. Actually, the production increased 25 times in the last decades. If we see, in 2009, the total production was 31.3 million ton. In 2023, it was 39.01 million metric ton. Greenhouse gas emission from agriculture sector. Agriculture sector actually globally emit 20% of the total global emission. Although emissions from forestry, agriculture, and other land uses have particularly stabilized over the first 25 years, about 14.3%. Global total greenhouse gas emission is about 53.786 million tons in 2020, whereas Bangladesh emits 281 million tons, which is contribute to global emission is only 0.52%. We are the less emitter, but we are the victim of greenhouse gas emission. Bangladesh agriculture emit 32% of total emission from agriculture. The methane emissions from rice cultivation in Bangladesh, you see in flooded rice fields, anaerobic decomposition of organic matter results in methane, which is released into atmosphere. Upland regions that are not flooded generate a very negligible amount of methane, while other cultivated areas, including irrigated, rain-fed, and deep water fields, also produce significant methane. You see here the report from 2013 to 2019, the total agriculture sector in 2019, the emission was 61,865 gigagram carbon dioxide equivalent. For rice cultivation in 2019, it was 15,239 gigagram carbon dioxide. You see here from 2015 to 2019, in case of rice cultivation, the greenhouse gas emission is decreasing. Here, I would like to show the total emission in 2013 to 2029. Here, agriculture sector, just earlier I mentioned. From livestock sector, you see total emission is 30,226 gigagram carbon dioxide equivalent. There are enteric fermentation and manure management, and aggregate sources and non-carbon dioxide emission sources on land is total emission is in 2019 is about 31,639 gigagram carbon dioxide. Here we see the breaks. The urea application is 2019 is about 1870. Direct nitrous oxide emission from managed soil here is 6,132, and indirect nitrous oxide emission from atmospheric nitrogen deposition and leaching or runoff is about in 1920 is about 966. Indirect nitrous oxide emission from manure management in 2019 is about 432 gigagram carbon dioxide equivalent. Already I earlier showed the rice emission. There are agricultural practices for greenhouse gas emission reduction. Bangladesh Rice Research Institute reported some of the options. One of the important options is tillage management. They reported that strip tillage reduced about 24 to 40% methane and about 31 to 47 of global warming potential. And another option is water management, that is AWD reduce about 22 to 36% of methane and about 15 to 44% of global warming potential. And another issue, fertilizer management. Here they reported vermicomposting significantly reduced methane, carbon dioxide and nitrous oxide fluxes by 13 to 19%, 70 to 21%, and 4 to 9%, and global warming potentiality by 13 to 17% compared to cow dung. And another option also organic matter management. Then cultivar selection, already our speaker mentioned in his presentation, and also cropping pattern. I also show the result of the cultivar and cropping pattern in next slide. And you know, Bangladesh annually use 6.2 million metric ton fertilizer. Among these 6.2, use 2.7 million ton urea. Urea accounts for greenhouse gas emission 5% in globally. For this reason, government developed Khamari mobile apps. Through these tools, location-specific fertilizer recommendation, we can get soil properties and nutrient status and location-specific information on suitable crop and other agricultural information to farmers and stakeholders. Already government piloting these apps in the field level. Last almond season, we have conducted about 34 trial through NARS Institute and Department of Agriculture Extension. We got the result, the fertilizer cost savings compared to farmers' practice. You know, farmers are usually use more fertilizer than the recommendation dose. Here, fertilizer cost reduced is about 40.6 US dollar per hectare, and also increase the yield 90.6 dollar per hectare. Actually, yield increase due to the balance fertilizer using. That's why the yield is increased. Then government also trying to piloting the AWD technology at the farmers field. Earlier, we practiced the AWD from World Bank funded project NITP phase 2 in 2017 to 19. The AWD demonstration area was 204 hectare, and another this year also conducted a trial 69 hectare, and another non-demonstration AWD area is 345 hectare. Besides this, also AWD is implementing 61 districts in 61 locations. Each of the trial size is 2 hectare AWD and 2 hectare is non-AWD. With the help of IRI Bangladesh part, they are helping us to collect the data on greenhouse gas emission. You see here the cost saving through AWD technology. In Bangladesh, irrigation cost is about 17,000 taka per hectare. If we save 20% through AWD, this amount is 3,400 taka. Actually, last year we have cultivated about 4.5 million hectare of Boro area. That irrigation cost saved in Boro is about 128 million US dollar. In case of AWD, we need 5. Plastic 5. here is costing is about 16.67 US dollar million for the total borrow area 4.5 million hectare. So we net saved from following AWD in the borrow season, last borrow season, we can save 111 million US dollar. You see here this season in 2024, the you practicing the AWD, here the farmers put the pipe, and also government formed a technical team and monitoring team. They look after the technical and also the monitor the activities. One of the monitoring team visit the field. Here the field condition of AWD in different location. You see the farmers are measuring the water. And also with the help of ERI, the BRI scientists, they are measuring the greenhouse gas emission in the chamber, also set in the field level, like this one, in different location. And also they measure the greenhouse gas emission sampling, and also analysis carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide through gas chromatography. And BRI also reported the earlier I mentioned the some of the cultivar are suitable for the management options of reducing greenhouse gas emission and global warming potentiality, increased productivity also. Here the BRI screen the potential variety like BRI rice 66, BRI rice 70, BRI rice 71, BRI rice 72, BRI rice 73, BRI rice 49. These are the short duration variety. And also they identify what are efficient variety, that is BRI rice 92. And they also reported the potential cropping pattern. You see here the borrow based cropping pattern, the greenhouse gas emission is higher than the other cropping pattern. And government also has taken initiative in solar irrigation system. Irrigation cost in Bangladesh accounts for 43% of total agricultural cost. Minor irrigation is done with 1.22 million diesel pumps and more than 430,000 electric pumps. Replacing diesel pumps with modern and efficient solar irrigation pump, by this time government converted 4,000 diesel pumps into solar irrigation pump. Introducing, according to Asian Development Bank 2030, introducing a solar irrigation pump system will enable Bangladesh to gradually displace the consumption of 1 million tons of diesel fuel annually, thereby avoiding each year 3 million metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalent. Then government also developed a roadmap to scale up solar irrigation pumps in Bangladesh, installing up to 45,000 solar irrigation pump system with pump ratings ranging from 4 kilowatts to 25 kilowatt that would add up to 1,000 megawatt peak of solar capacity to the country. This solar irrigation pump system would replace the consumption of 300,000 tons of diesel fuel annually, avoiding 900,000 metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalent emissions every year. And according to Asian Development Bank 2030, the target number of solar irrigation pump systems aims to replace diesel pumps irrigating up to 4,000 hectares of land and serving more than 1.3 million farmers. Here I would like to mention way forward needs to be developed low input responsive rice variety. I think all of you know the University of California, they developed low water required rice variety. They save 20% water saved through gene editing technology. They developed a rice variety. Emphasis should be given on development of short duration variety. Thrust should be given on green energy use. Global warming potential friendly cropping pattern needs to be developed and practiced at field level. Bangladesh believes that using AWD Khamari LFs, renewable energy, cropping pattern, zero tillage, which could be able to enhance low carbon rice production and thus reduce greenhouse gas emission 43% by 2030 as per decision of COP28. Thank you everybody for patient hearing me.
Thank you very much, Dr. Salam. Please stay. So, a couple of questions to him, if you have. Please come to the mic. And next to him, anyone? Okay, please raise hand if you need.
Good afternoon, Swaminathan from India. So I just want to check with you because Bangladesh, you receive very high rainfall and maintaining the alternate wet and drying condition. Will that be applicable for all 3 seasons or you are aiming for only 1 season? Because if you do it in 1 season, if the condition is flooding in the other 2 seasons, how do you really see in terms of the calculations? Thank you.
Oh, okay, thank you. Actually, in Bangladesh, rice is grown in 3 seasons. Boro is completely irrigated rice. And in Boro season, we produce more than 50% rice. So, and during the Boro season, rainfall is actually very less. Not
So the main target for AWD would be
in Boro season, yeah.
Okay.
My name is Pomi Intichak from Laos. We have some company approaching us about this program also. So what is your suggestion for us to be aware of, to implement this kind of initiative?
Actually, government has taken this initiative. The last 3 days, today also, we are talking about the smallholder farming. Actually, government first introduced the synchronized cultivation, then put the AWD practices in synchronized cultivation. That's why it is possible to follow the AWD in smallholding farming.
Okay, so we will have more QA session later on. So thank you very much, Dr. Salam. Thank you. Okay, so now I'm happy to introduce one of our colleagues, Dr. Hiz Jamal. He's a senior climate change officer. So he will make presentations of our program in Pakistan. Yeah.
Thank you. It's good to hear Bangladesh having some success in AWD adoption. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Pakistan is one of the major rice producers and exporters in the world. And most of this rice is produced using the conventional continuous flooding method, which means, of course, it uses more water per hectare compared with any other crop, and it also emits a lot of greenhouse gas. And so it was fine earlier, but I think now we've seen a lot of, because of high profitability of rice production, the area under rice is actually expanding. And we are running out of water now. And we've seen in Punjab, for example, the basmati growing districts, they're supplementing 50% of their water with groundwater. And previously it was all surface water. So that's a concern now, and it's not sustainable to continue the business as usual. And future isn't looking very bright either. Pakistan is projected to be one of the most water-stressed countries in the world by 2040. So we need to change our rice production systems if we were to grow rice in future. The other aspect of course, the sustainability concern in rice production is the carbon or the greenhouse gas footprint. So we can express greenhouse gas emission in 2 ways. One, the total emissions from rice production, which in Pakistan are not very high. So it's only less than 2% of the total national greenhouse gas emissions. But the other way to express emissions is called emission intensity or carbon intensity, which is the emissions per kilogram of rice, or emissions per calorie of rice, or emissions per gram of protein of rice. So this graph, for example, is showing, you can see the emission intensity for rice is almost twice that of wheat. So why that is a concern, I will talk about this in a minute. So why are we, if rice doesn't contribute so much in the national inventory, why are we really talking about mitigation here? First, of course, we are part of the Paris Agreement, and we are a signatory of methane pledge as well. As part of that, we want to reduce emissions. But that's the environmental aspect of it. I think there are growing, and there is a bigger economic case to reduce emissions now. For example, there is carbon markets now, and it's established. We have established methodology for reducing emissions from rice using, for example, AWD, and we can take that to the carbon markets to create an incentive for our farmers. Second, I think there is a lot of demand in our export markets because Pakistan is one of the major exporters of rice. So there is an increasing demand for carbon with rice with a low carbon footprint. And there are two aspects of it. One, consumers are becoming more and more aware, and they prefer to use rice or any product for that matter that has a lower carbon footprint. And in fact, now many supermarkets have started putting these labels which show the carbon footprint. So consumers are becoming more and more aware of what is the carbon footprint of their lifestyle. And also the carbon tax. So for example, Europe has imposed taxes, many other countries are imposing these taxes. So importers sitting in the Europe or any other country, they're also now looking for rice that has lower carbon footprint because it's not for environmental reasons, but more for economic reasons, because then they would have to pay less tax. And another example, for example, on a similar trend, Europe has announced that from next year on, any meat they import, it would have to demonstrate that it doesn't involve deforestation. And I think we will see more of that in other crops and other products as well. So that is an example. We need to get ahead of the curve, and we need to be ready, and AWD is one way to do that. Just want to quickly talk about a little bit about the science of emissions. So these are just the three ecosystems that we usually work with. Natural, then converted to crops, and then third one is the rice crop. The three gases we talk about that are important from agriculture point of view, first, of course, the carbon dioxide is the most abundant in the atmosphere, but it has the least global warming potential. So for molecule, and methane has almost 28 times global warming potential compared with carbon dioxide, and nitrous oxide is the strongest, which contributes nearly 300 times global warming compared with carbon dioxide molecule for molecule. So methane and nitrous oxide, collectively we call them non-CO2 greenhouse gases, and that's our topic today. So when we go to a natural system like a forest system, it's generally a high methane sink. It absorbs a lot of methane from atmosphere, and the methanotrophic bacteria or methane-eating bacteria, they consume it, oxidize it. But from nitrous oxide point of view, it's very much neutral. Low emissions, low uptake, it's not a concern. And then we change that to a cropping land. Let's say it's a maize or a wheat crop. It's usually methane neutral. There's not much happening from methane point of view because soils are not very healthy. But there is a lot of nitrous oxide emissions from those soils because of applying nitrogenous fertilizers like urea and DAP. And then when we convert that to rice, because we flood the system, it results in complete denitrification, and that means the N2O emissions, although the fertilizer is there, but because it's complete denitrification, the emissions of N2O become very low. But it increases methane emissions because methanogenic or methane-producing bacteria work in those flooded conditions. And when we talk about AWD, we are basically switching between these two systems. So when we flood it, it's rice system, methane emissions go high, and N2O emissions go low. And then when we drain it to 15 centimeter below, it becomes to this middle picture where it becomes a high N2O source, but the methane emissions go down, and we keep switching between these. So it's really important to actually, when we talk about AWD, it's really important to look at the whole greenhouse gas balance and understand the implications for nitrous oxide as well. And there is a lot of work already being done, I think, by Erie and many other countries. So, in Pakistan, we want to do this pilot AWD trial to understand how these things work. Mainly, of course, primary objective is that it is to support the Punjab Agriculture Department, particularly on-farm water management wing of the department, and understand the impact of AWD on water productivity and greenhouse gas balance. And then by doing that, we will also develop tier 2 emission factors. And by that, I mean tier 1 means when you don't have any data, there is a default IPCC emission factor that countries can use to calculate their emissions. But of course, because it's not based on soil types and climate conditions, there are high uncertainties in those. So we want to develop our own emission factors that is called tier 2. Of course, adoption barriers, I think is very important. Whenever we go to a farmer, let's say, imagine a farmer in Punjab who uses surface water, which is not very expensive. We go to them and talk to a farmer saying, look, the rice you're producing, it uses a lot of water and it emits a lot of greenhouse gases, and it's a problem. They say, yes, it's a problem, but it's not my problem. My problem is I want to make money, I want to grow a good crop. Does AWD help in that? Most of the time the answer is no, because as I think Young-Soo said, we are not targeting yield increase, we are targeting water savings. And the way our farms are set up, they don't have water storages. So the water they save, it doesn't stay for them to use again. It's different from, for example, large farms in Australia or US. So they don't see that savings for themselves. So even if they save it, they say, well, it's going in the river, so what do I get from this? So I think we need to understand farmers' perspective. So we want to explore those areas and want to understand how farmers are thinking about this. And of course, we want to explore how the carbon markets can be used as an incentive to incentivize this for farmers. So we are conducting these trials in 2 locations, and there will be mainly 2 experiments. First experiment will be about the greenhouse gas measurements, and the second one will be working with hundreds of farmers to do on-farm trials to understand farmers' perspective and their experiences. So it will be done in 2 districts. So you can see the map on the left, on the right, sorry, yours, and it's the dark green means higher production, and light green means lower production. So we chose 2 of the districts that are higher production, but also the variable in climate. For example, the one on the top is more higher rainfall, and the one in the south, Okara district, it has a lower rainfall. So we want to capture more variability in the climates as well. So experiment, as I said, this is about measuring greenhouse gas emissions. We will be conducting these on 2 research stations. The first one is on the on-farm water management research station in Okara district, and second one on the Rice Research Institute in Sheikhupura, near Lahore. And we will mainly be doing 3 treatments: alternate wetting and drying, continuous flooding, and single drainage, because many farmers are already using a single drainage. And of course, so there is many chamber designs and analytical techniques that can be used for these measurements. And all of them have their own strengths and some limitations. For us, we will be going with manual chambers, and I think Dr. Sam has already shown some pictures earlier. So, and then again, I think there are not many gas analytical facilities in Pakistan, so we will be sending the samples to Germany, to KIT, for analysis of samples. And the second experiment is working with the farmers to understand their response to these techniques. So we'll be using, again, continuous flooding and alternate wetting and drying with a simple tube as well as with a smart tube. Our earlier plan was to do a smart tube trial full scale, but we realized that there's not this smart tube isn't available off the shelf. So we will be working with one of the top private universities, LUMS, in Pakistan to develop and test this smart tube, and that can be further trialed in a larger scale next year. So I think we are looking at to conduct the first greenhouse gas study from rice systems in Pakistan, to develop the emission factors that can be used in national greenhouse gas inventory, but also can be used in carbon markets, and also develop capacity that can also be used for future studies for these carbon markets. And more importantly, I think we want to understand and support the government to develop data and evidence that can show the real benefit of AWD in water productivity and farm profitability, so that it can help government make a case to scale it up. And of course, we want to identify the adoption barriers. And of course, it's the collaboration will be at the heart of it. So we have a lot of national and international collaborators, and tomorrow we are visiting Erie, so we look forward to talking more and learn from them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Due to time limitation, if you have one question, just only one question. Yes.
Yeah, I know we're still in the pilot stage and studying, but my question is applicable to Pakistan and also in Bangladesh. So, assuming there's no carbon credit incentive, what are the barriers that you see in terms of farmers' adaptation, and how we can mitigate or address these barriers so that we can shift the behaviors after the pilot?
Can I take one? So in Bangladesh, we are setting another trials in an area during the borrow season where farmers pay for pumping. So reducing water use at least reduce their cost of pumping. So that's a major incentive. Other areas where farmers do not pay for the volume of water, there is no incentive. So we need to bring in the carbon credit benefits, or in the case of Pakistan, in the export market, premium in the market. That would be another potential.
I think if I can very quickly add, so again, like I mentioned, in the Punjab, there are some areas which have started, which supplement half of their water with groundwater, and those I think can be our entry points, and we can target that.
And then Punjab government is putting higher price on the
yes, I think our colleague Asad Zafar will talk about that later. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So now I'd like to invite Dr. Ando Radanielson. She's a senior scientist, environment climate change expert, and we have at IRI. I skipped the department name, which is very long.
It's
okay,
fine.
Please put Dr. Ando's presentation file.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Well, the slides will appearing. I'm going to try to do a presentation as short as possible, so to save us time, more discussion. But at the same time, some of my slides as well have been presented by John Shu, so definitely I will have opportunity to save us time. So what I want to share with you today is not really about AWD, but where we go from AWD. Seeing that AWD is already driving climate change adaptations and mitigations, but as well the design of low-carbon rice system. So yes, I think it's been presented as well by the former presenters, particularly on how different countries around the world are participation in the decarbonization goal. And among these are the rice-producing countries. So we had the example earlier presented by, from the Pakistani example, for example, the Vietnam as well is one of a pledge of this, and Philippines. So the issues, though, as is presented here, this is a work that's been done by Davidson's and teams from the US Microbiology Society. So what they evaluated here is like, what is the mitigation potentials for different sector if we develop some technologies for that mitigation strategies. So what they've seen is that compared to other sectors, rice in particular has potentials, but these potentials are still needed some approaches and technologies that are viable economically. So that's really the challenge. Well, as I mentioned earlier, most of rice-producing countries are pledging to the decarbonization goal globally, but for each country as well, rice is one of the main entry point and the main affordable a sector where they can address decarbonization. Because if they will work on other sectors, that may impede their economic growth, where in rice sectors, it's cheaper and it's affordable. And that is valid for most of the countries in South Asia, but as well in Southeast Asia. And then the other issues as well is that we don't have one solution that fits all, because rice ecosystems are variables, and water is one of the main factors that drive in the classifications of different type of rice ecosystems. So AWD itself has been developed as water-saving technologies, and because of the main key roles of waters in rice productions. So based on where rice is growing, we may have opportunity to have AWD, but then there's as well a requirement for other technologies, because AWD may impede on the productivity of the systems and thus the food security of this environment. So one question that has been raised today, this afternoon, was about the rain-fed system. What are the solutions for rain-fed systems where we don't have capabilities to control water, and farmers will never drain their fields because, oh, we want to implement AWD, because that's a very high-risky practice for them. So there's a big challenge around that. And there is these areas as well in low-lying areas where rice is basically the main crop that can grow there, and the water can be drained up because it's a low-lying lowlands area. Another main important thing as well, continuous flooded rice is a practice of more than 1,000 years. It holds an indigenous knowledge in there. So farmers are doing continuous flooded rice not just because the water is there and they want to use a lot of water. There's a purpose in the way how they use this water. And one example, as I mentioned earlier, it's because it's adapted land use to having the rice crops in these areas where continuous flooding is practiced. But as well, it's one of the approaches that they use to control weeds in their systems, and weed is a key factor in production. And we're talking about climate change, we're talking about climate risk. The use of continuous flooding as well is helping the rice systems to thrive and adapt to different climate stress. So we're talking about salinity, heat stress, cold stress. So continuous flooding is in itself a system that's driving as well some adaptations for the farmers. So when you switch from that traditional practice that we call continuous flooding into AWD, all of these different factors has to be taken into account. So AWD has not been developed for climate adaptation. It was developed for adapting to resource constraints and to save water. And the practice is meant to have irrigations only when the water is drained down to 50% below surface. And the report in terms of impact is very variable as well. It's not always 50%. It can range as below as 15% of water use saving, but it can go all up to 30%, 70%. And this is because, again, as I mentioned earlier, rice system is very variable. And in terms of mitigation options, again, it depends on the ecosystem that we're talking about, because reduction as well can range, and it can be from 30% up to 50%. Some report goes even up to 70%. We're talking about nitrous oxide as well earlier in terms of a question. So when you move from AWD, from continuous flooding to AWD, we have these reductions on methane emissions, but we may have some increase in the emission of nitrous oxide, and this is basically driven by the timing of fertilizer application. So if we have all of these things combined, then we may have opportunities that where nitrous oxide become not a problem. And this is one example of study that we have here in the Philippines in collaborations with field rice that demonstrate that with timing applications of fertilizers, you may limit some of this increase of nitrous oxide emissions, and then you have a positive gain in terms of global warming potential. And I think that graph by itself is talking alone. I don't need to make more comments about that. So where we go from there? So where we go from there is that, okay, AWD is a solution, but it's not a solution for all. And what we want, if we wanted to transform and really design low-carbon system, is an integrated solutions. I think the presenters earlier have mentioned about the values of varieties. So one of the main entry points will be low-emitting varieties. That can be a solution for rain-fed systems for these low-lying areas. But as we're developing new improved varieties, these varieties has to have as well some climate resilience, adaptations to heat, to drought, because that as well, some of the main role of the continuous flooded for the rice system, so buffering these different stresses. And of course, having higher efficiency, because new improved varieties will incur cost. And so the cost of these seeds has to be compensated elsewhere. In terms of transforming as well low carbon systems. So when you move from AWD, we have more problems of weeds. A lot of farmers are complaining about weeds management in AWD systems. And this is where herbicide tolerance in varieties can be a key. So seeds and variety improvement can hold a key for that. And then the next step is bringing in more innovative crop management practice. So we are looking more into management that is having low environmental impact. So we're talking about enhanced efficiency fertilizer, for example. So that's one accompanying package of technologies that can go with these low-emitting varieties. The use of nitrification inhibitors, that will address the problems of nitric oxide emissions, but as well the methane inhibitors. And again, looking into situations where AWD may not be an option, because if AWD can go up to 50%, and then so what will be next if we move to a higher target? If we want to go up to 70%, and we want to secure that. So what else can we add on top more of that? And then so all of these different new technologies, as they come into place and as the rice system is transforming, has to account for the transformation that's happening as well at the same time in parallel. So there's thinking about the digitalizations and the mechanization. So these are all enabling factors that will allow all of these technologies to be implemented and to be packaged together as an integrated system. So we have already some evidence of that, for example, when we package AWD with direct seeded rice. So direct seeded rice is one of the entry points where we have kind of a de facto some reductions of water use in the systems because we change land preparations, we change as well, we have the opportunity to change practice of water, and as well the in-season crop water management. Same things like that, I think Visit Jones was mentioned. We can as well combine into that as well all of the different initiatives in straw innovations and straw management, where we can have additional input in terms of mitigations. And the next frontiers is exploring the values of microbiomes. So this is something where ERI is investing right now, so we're looking into how these new technologies, how the management of soil microbiomes or microbiomes in the plants can be engineered and see how we can, to which extent we can use that as a solutions for mitigation. So I think that's really what I want to share with you is that we've not been very purposeful in the design of low carbon system in the past. AWD was meant for water saving technologies. Now we are moving forward to low carbons, and that really needs to address all the questions around logistics, and about climate risk, and about soil health. So this is my presentation for you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sorry for giving you short time,
No worries.
but you did great job to presenting in a short time.
Thank you.
Okay, so without going into question, I'd like to now invite Dr. Tran Van Thi from DDG of the Institute for Agriculture and Environment at the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development of Vietnam. Earlier, there was a mention of Vietnam 1 million hectare project, and I hope you can mention. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I do not to talk about very taken because we are very happy to cooperate with the ERI, with the CS, with the other institutes conduct already AWD in Vietnam. So all the number and the effectiveness already so in during the presentation. But in fact, AWD, we also would like to thank former Minister Dr. Cao Đức Phát here, because you know that in the 2011, we already developed one program on greenhouse gas reduction. We also include already AWD at that time, for include the mid-season, the rain and AWD at that time. So for the now, we confident that the farmer already adopt with AWD in some region, but for AWD cannot apply for every region, every season. You know that in the winter and spring season, we can apply very high proportion of area. We can apply around the 2.7 million hectare in potentials, but in the autumn, with a very high rainfall, so we cannot apply very high proportion. For the number of the AWD, as the question you mentioned, it's very hard for us to estimate exactly the number, but I think that in Vietnam now, we around the 600,000 hectares, something like that. But we do not conduct the AWD separately. We combine with tree gain, tree reduction. We combine with SRI. We combine with SRP, something like that. So that's why we cannot exactly number what is for AWD, what is for tree gain, tree reduction, one mass 5 reduction, one mass 6 reduction. So it already mentioned in activity. And also for the, I would like to provide you some more information about the 1 million hectare program. 1 million hectare program assigned by Prime Minister last year, but for Mekong River Delta only. But in the NDC, we determine that we have we can develop the 1.4 million hectare of AWD, include the AWD, SRI, and tree gain, tree reduction. So that in the other regions we can also do AWD. For the 1 million hectare program, we have some kind of the target here. So we can apply on the scales. We develop the 1 million hectare from 24 to 25. To 25, we apply the 180,000 hectare. But up to by the 2030, we increase the number of area 1 million hectare. The total participate household about the 1 million household. And in terms of the sustainable farming, we revise and improve some technical guidelines include in AWD and other. So we can combine with reduce the seed number seed per hectare. From now is very high. We try to reduce until the 7 kg per hectare. And also reduce 30% of chemical fertilizer and pesticide, and also reduce 20% of water in comparison with the traditional model. On production and technology, so in this program we intend to develop we reform the rice production. We link it 100% of farmer under project with the enterprise, with cooperative, with the farmer organization to support farmer how to organize low carbon rice, high quality rice. For the technology, we include plenty technology on this program, include AWD, SRP, also 1 mass and 5 reduction, and VietGap also. In terms of environment portion, so we also intend to reduce the loss from harvest up to 8%. Now it's more than 10, I think now it's around 12%. So we try to reduce the number of the loss after post harvest until 8%. And also we intend to, in the program, we try to collect 100% of rice straw to convert like fertilizer, like biochar, like the other activity to reuse the crop residues, reuse rice straw. And of course, we do the program, but we try to increase income for farmer. Because you know that I think in the other country also, so farmer involved in rice production always get a very low income. So we try to increase income for farmer. Because farmer, you mentioned already, farmer don't care about the much about greenhouse gas reduction. They care about the benefits. So if we want to promote the program, we need to improve the income for them. And for the 1 million program hectare, we already developed some working group and developed the action plan, and hopefully we can conduct very soonly. But I also mentioned that so AW not now, but we already have a red in some policy in NDC, even in the environment protection law also. So that's a very brief information for you understand. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We will have QA, try to QA session, have QA session later. So online, we also have some participants. We wanted to bring some delegates from Pakistan, but they could not come. Director General Malik Akram, Asad later, sorry. Dr. Akram, if you are available online.
Yeah.
Can you hear me,
I can hear
Dr.
you.
Akram?
Yeah.
Okay, so please
Yeah,
put Dr. Akram on the screen. Dr. Malik Muhammad Akram. On the screen right now, Mr. Asad is on the screen. If not, Dr. Akram, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so can you start your comments? Earlier we had the presentation on Pakistan.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak in this very important forum, and greetings from Pakistan. So Dr. Jamali has already made a very good presentation on what we are going to expect on this AWD in technology in Pakistan. So we know Pakistan is one of the climate vulnerable and also the water scarce countries in the world. And currently we are facing both these challenges, and these two challenges are like one of the biggest challenges the country is facing. So in terms of agriculture, if we see rice is one of the very important crop when we talk about the food security and rural development in Pakistan, as 70% of the population live in rural areas, and they are dependent on the rice wheat cropping system. So if in terms of numbers, if we see 9 million acres, the farmers are growing rice on about 9 million acres in Pakistan, and they are using around 20 to 25 million acre feet of water annually for the rice crop only. So in terms of these numbers and in terms of food security, rice is very important crop for the agriculture development in Pakistan. And we are, for the last 2 decades, we are looking different option in terms of how we can save water from rice wheat cropping system. And one of the technology we have extensively promoted in Pakistan is the laser land leveling, and this technology has given some very positive impact in terms of water saving, and also some very positive impact in terms of also the greenhouse gas emissions. So one of the potential technology, I think this AWD we think is one of the potential technologies, and so keeping in view its potential, we have requested ADB to carry out some of the experiments that Dr. Hiz Jamali has already explained on one of the 2 research farms in Punjab. And based on these research results, I think we will be able to upscale this technology to the farmers' field. But I think there are many challenges in terms of its adaptability to the farmers. And if we talk about Punjab's, mostly the farmers are small landlord farmers, and they have less than 5 hectares of land. So there will be quite challenges in terms of its adaptability and building trust of the farmers, how to move forward in terms of promoting this AWD technology. But we are hopeful these experiments we are going to conduct will give us very positive result, and we would be able to promote this technology to the farmers. And keeping in view the time, I think that's it from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Malik Akram. Your screen, your camera has a background, so you know, if you can turn off your background, it will be, we can see you better. Okay. Meanwhile, we may bring you back again. So meanwhile, we have our colleague also, Asad from Pakistan, our office in Pakistan. Mr. Asad Zafar is a senior project officer. Asad, can you come in and give some comments on this from ADB Pakistan office point of view?
Yeah, thank you. Can you hear me and see me as well?
Yes.
Okay, I fixed my camera. So thank you very much for inviting to that. So I would not add much to what Hiz has already mentioned, and he has prompted me to say something about the water use in Abiana, but he has covered very well about this rice growing trends, the water demand, and I echo his word that it should not be now business as usual, but also pointed out on the adoption barriers on the farms incentivization and what are our opportunity and niche areas to work in. So primarily, before I have few numbers that we always quote, that the 4 crops in Pakistan, wheat, rice, sugarcane, and cotton, they use 80% of the agriculture water and contribute less than 5% of the GDP. So they would, unless there are a major shift in cropping, which is highly unlikely in the near future, they continue to be larger water consumers, which means that there's a lot of potential of water productivity improvement unless we don't have additional water available in the larger Indus Basin system. So we need to be more efficient on the farm, and I echo his word that it should not be now business as usual. There's a very recent study of the World Bank on growing more from water, where there's a projections and various climate change modeling, and they suggest that the water demand will increase significantly, and only in the agriculture sector alone it may increase as high as 20 to 30%, other than the rural and domestic drinking water, urban domestic water industry and environment. The other thing which I want to echo is that what is the changing architecture in water, which has some bearing on the AWT and the technology that we are discussing. The new national and provincial acts have recently been approved. They are bringing more commission regulation in water. Groundwater is now being regulated, and one of the Kashi comment was that the niche area could be where the groundwater is abstracted and we could demonstrate its saving. That's a potential for an AWT area. So as more groundwater is licensed and regulated, that's something where there could be a trend where a farmer may be better informed and being more efficient in using the water. The other change is the water charge, which has prompted me to say about it. The water charge in Punjab, for example, was static for many years, but recently in 2021 there was an increase, and from 2021 now in the last 4 years it has increased by 7 times, 7 to 8 times. Like in 2021 it was about $1 for an acre. Acre is about half of an hectare, and now it is about $7 per acre. And it is not only that it's an area based. The switch is from area non-crop to area crop based. So more high delta or consumptive crops are levied more abiana or water charge, as they say. So in summary, this is really important study to start with. We should bring this decision support system through the research and then informed. I understand the journey is quite bigger, but we fully support the government in at least understanding and bringing that research and results out. So I pause here. Over to you, Takashi.
Thank you very much. We have a few minutes left. Let's see. And so please go to the mic then. Yeah, okay. All right. So anyone who has questions, please be ready to come to the mic. It will be a competition. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. My name is Koma. I'm from the Ministry of Agriculture in Cambodia. Now, I just want to add a little bit about my own experience, especially in working with SRI, the System of Rice Intensification, when I started in year 2000. And first, we would like to confirm that, as our colleague from Vietnam just said, so when you apply the alternative wet and dry, so you have to go in a system combined with other principle and in practice. And number two, so this alternative wet and dry, and when combined with other principle, actually increase the yield. And I also would like to confirm, as you said, that also the milling quality of the rice also better. So we also look at the correlation between the apply of this practice with the use of pesticide. Also, it reduces the use of pesticide because the rice become more healthy. And also, we need also to look at the spacing. That's why also the reuse of seed, because of it has to do with space. So also improve the growth of the rice, and also to make the furrow, the strip in the rice field, maybe 2 or 3 meters. You have one furrow that will help the water management. Also increase the yield. So all of these combination go together, so contribute to improvement of yield, reduction of cost, improving quality of grain, of paddy. And I think there's more work need to be done also to confirm this combination. And I think we are happy to work together to share the experience. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Koma. Okay, so next question. Yes, please come.
Thank you so much. My question is more on the monitoring of the AWD. As I'm from the startup specializing in satellite monitoring system, and we have been working with JAXA, or Japan Space Agency. And I understand that's probably challenge when we want to scale the execution to check which farmer actually implemented the AWD on the field. So is anyone from the ABD or other organization has some early thought how we can implement a remote sensing system to ensure that implementation is done properly?
Okay, I'll go quickly and ask his to come back. So the evidence is important that the farmers have adopted AWD and reduced methane. So that evidence will help them to obtain access to carbon credit. Our experiments in Pakistan and we are trying to do in Bangladesh is introduce water sensors. Water sensors will keep the record of the water level and then that show that which farmers adopted AWD. That can be used as evidence for them to access to credit. The satellite image that you can measure the methane at the Johnson's presentations also shows that the satellite image of methane emissions, the accuracy is important, and it also measures the large areas. So it's very difficult to point out which farmers had adopted AWD. So we think that both methods combined can be used to show, the water sensor is good, but it's very local specific.
Right.
The satellite image covers the entire large areas, can just show that this area, this country has reduced methane this much. But, in order to bring the money to the farmer, many people mentioned it. The farmer's incentive is important. So for that, a more individual sensor is needed. Do you want to add, Matt?
Thank you. I think you covered most of it. So it's a very good question. I was really, I think, like to talk to you during the tea break as well. So That's definitely a big gap, and I think right now they are basically carbon markets are using diaries, logbooks by farmers. So what do you write? How do you trust it? I think it's a big question. So like Takashi said, I think using the sensors, AWD sensors, that is one way to do it. It can record everything. But I think that is the long-term solution that you are talking about. And I think the limitation has been that a lot of the satellites, once the canopy closes, they don't penetrate. But I think if you can use LiDAR satellites or something else that can go down, and I think I hope the resolution has come down to 1 meter or less now. And I think if through those solutions you can develop a product that can demonstrate, okay, we can tell how many days water was above the surface and for how many days it was below, I think that will be a very welcome, well received in the carbon markets and generally. Thank you.
Okay, next, yeah, so next one is, so other certification process.
Yeah, thank you. Wayne Ellis again from the Sustainable Rice Platform. First, thank you all for the really excellent and useful presentations. I was very much struck by the presentation of Dr. Tran and a colleague from Cambodia who I think are teaching us a very important lesson, that low carbon outcomes should be pursued within a broader sustainability framework and not driven as a single intervention. I honestly can't think of anything more risky than to predicate the success of a project on the price of carbon in the voluntary market at this point. So I would encourage everyone to listen to what the 1 million hectare project is doing. The ministerial declaration actually said as much in the sense that it said we're going to deliver these carbon outcomes through using the 5+1 reduction, through using SRI, through using SRP and other approaches as well. So let's take an integrated approach to incorporate AWD, DSR and all these other good things, but let's not forget the co-benefits that really will drive farmer adoption. Thank you.
Kevin, thank you very much. So we are running out of time, but anyone who wants to ask or give comments? Yes, last one, quickly.
How do we measure the baseline? The baseline in terms of carbon emission, before we come in to intervene so that we can measure accurately the reduction?
I think we will discuss it over coffee. You want to, I mean, it's important questions, but we don't have time. Do you want to come in?
Yes, my question is linking to the upscale, the good example already happened in Vietnam, in Bangladesh. I don't know if ADB have any concept or any idea in the future where we have the regional project on this issue, low carbon rice, which is benefit to the not only increasing the benefit to the farmers, but also environmental friendly.
Please find the relevant ADB officers and ask for money funding through project. We can talk more about that, but so far I belong to the research department, which has no funding. Okay, so let me stop here because we are over time. During the presentation, there's a mentions to the rice straw management. That's another area because in many areas that the rice straw and stubbles can be burned on the field and polluting the air, or after removing the straw, what to do with it. So from 4 o'clock, I think in this room we have another session on the private sector's contributions of the greenhouse gas emission reductions. In that we will discuss more about biomass management. Okay, so please come back here and thank you very much for your participation. Thank you.